Brandon Scott again from Locked On Wizards. The Washington Wizards fall to the Milwaukee Bucks at home tonight, 140 to 128. And with the Wizards now having access to the 2023 first round pick due to the Wizards now being out of the running for the playoffs slash to play in, we are now in official tank mode. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about Jay Huff, who played tonight, winning the Defensive Player of the Year for the G League as a member of the Capital City Go-Go. So we're going to talk about all that and more next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again from Locked On Wizards. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA and get on your way to being your best self. So, again, the Washington Wizards, they fall 140 to 128 to the Milwaukee Bucks at home. And with the Wizards I don't know if it's official, but they, I guess unofficially, but they are now tanking. So let's dig right into it. Now, tonight, 6 main players in this team were out with either injury or with illness or quote unquote illness. Those players being Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps Porzingis, Denny Avdija, DeLon Wright, and Monte Morris were out tonight. So that led the way for the young guys. And man, let's get into it because there were a lot of good performances, a couple of performances that could have been better from this young cast. But man, they are starting to give the young guys a lot of playing time. So let's get into the starting unit. So starting at point guard today was Jordan Goodwin. He contributed 14 points, 9 assists. And I felt like he played well, man. 9 assists. He really set into the role of starting point guard today. And he did what, he does what Jordan Goodwin does, which is a dog on defense and contributing, with effort and, 14 points, 9 assists. So he definitely contributed tonight. But we're going to get into the guys who didn't look too hot or were kind of under the radar tonight. Corey Kispert, who has been hot this whole second half of the season. He had actually a bad shooting night, 12 points, but shooting 6 for 15 from the field and 0 from 4 from 3. So it was a kind of a slow night for him, a bad shooting night for him. But hey, look, man, he's been playing at a high level this second half of the season. And Anthony Gill giving out 8 points. But Johnny Davis with a new career high, 20 points tonight, shooting 9 for 17 from the field, 2 from 5 from 3. And again, with confidence, this kid can play some basketball. He has responded. To go from people almost calling him a bust to working his way up through the Capital City Go-Go to getting consistent minutes. Obviously, they're in a tank, and they're letting the young guys play, and they're evaluating and see what we got and see who's part of the future, who's not. But Johnny Davis, again, he showed up. He is starting to play good basketball. Again, 20 points, 9 for 17 from the field, and shooting 2 for 5 from 3. So the confidence there, I like what I see from Johnny Davis, man. I really like what I see from Johnny Davis. And again, we're going to talk about several other people on this team as far as the young guys, but I like what I see from Johnny Davis, man. He's going to be a vital piece to our future, whether we decide to go forward with the solid 3 or whether we decide to retool/rebuild. Johnny Davis is definitely a key piece of the foundation for this franchise going forward. And then finish off the first team, the starting unit. Daniel Gafford, 15 points, 7 assists. Daniel Gafford, again, did his thing. He's taking kind of an unofficial leadership role with these young guys, man. If you see his interactions and the interactions with Kyle Kuzma, with these young guys on the sideline, it's good to see a lot of these vets. And yeah, I get it. Gafford's kind of a young guy, even though we didn't draft him. He was a young guy when we traded Troy Brown Jr. to Chicago for him. But he has taken kind of an under-the-radar leadership role. And the same thing with Kyle Kuzma on the sidelines. He's been a key leadership figure all year long. So let's get into this second unit. And I'm excited. This second unit really came out tonight, and let's dig right into it. So Kendrick Nunn, and I get what y'all going to say, man. He shot the ball a lot tonight, but 24 points And you can't say much about the stat line, man. I mean, 24 points. He was efficient tonight, and he did his thing off the bench. 24 points for Kendrick Nunn. While he has been very inconsistent, especially after the first two games after the Rui trade, sending Rui to LA, but he responded with playing time on the bench. And Quentin Jackson, me and E both said we wanted to see Quentin Jackson get playing time, and he's starting to get playing time. 10 points for Quentin Jackson. Man, look, the speed, the athleticism. Again, Quentin Jackson is a piece of this foundation of this franchise going forward that I'm excited to see. Xavier Cooks, 8 points. He got some playing time, 8 points. You see his athleticism. He's a very athletic player. And let's get into Jay Huff. And before I get into his stat line for tonight, let's go ahead and do a shout out to Jay Huff of the Capital City Go-Go. He was active tonight for the Wizards game against the Bucks. He is the G League Defensive Player of the Year, and it's much deserved. I'm a big fan of Jay Huff coming out of UVA. This is actually his second stint with this organization. He was previously with the Capital City Go-Go / the Washington Wizards. And as a big man who can defend, as a big man who can shoot from behind the arc, I'm very intrigued. And I'm very intrigued to see what we decide to do with him going forward, because I think that he needs some serious playing time going forward. I know that KP, there's an extension in the talks, and I know that Daniel Gafford's going into an extension, but Jay Huff, man, Jay Huff can play some basketball, and he needs playing time. So it's very intriguing to see what he does with the playing time for the rest of this run, for the rest of the year. But these young guys, man, you're seeing quality minutes and quality stats out of these young guys, especially out of, Corey Kispert, Johnny Davis, Quentin Jackson. So again, in short, I'm not, me and Ebo said we're not going to really analyze the reasons why they lost, because obviously they're tanking, and this is really about, the young guys maturing and developing. So, in short, two players that really stood out for me tonight was Kendrick Nunn, and I get it. He's actually on an expiring contract, so he's actually playing for his next contract. But him and Johnny Davis did well tonight. So, it's just an example of, the young guys getting minutes and developing, and it's not about winning right now, because we are trying to get the best draft lottery pick we can get, and I'm definitely on board with that. So, before we get into our ad and the next subject, we're going to talk about a little bit about this unofficial tank, and then we're going to go ahead and do comments and roll out of here. So I definitely appreciate everybody tonight. A tough loss, but we knew it was going to happen. But before we move on, tonight's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is the perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to my garage and look for the green check to know the part that will fit, or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And it's funny that they brought that up about the right fit, the right tools. Looking at it, like I said, moving on, with the Washington Wizards officially being out of the playoff run / the play-in tournament, they have now obtained their 2023 first round pick. Now, obviously, with the pick, technically in the hands of the New York Knicks, and it has certain protections. With us being in the lottery, we're not making the playoffs, we're eligible to obtain the pick. And I think it goes to next year's top 15. We will definitely get in specifics because going towards the draft, but it's definitely good news. This is a loaded draft. Whether this organization decides to bring this solid three back, Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, and Kyle Kuzma, or whether they go into a rebuild, they definitely need a point guard for the future, and you can argue we need a wing. So this is a loaded draft, and the fact that we got this pick is really good news. If you look at the games remaining, I think the most winnable game could probably be the Houston Rockets, which is the last game of the year on the 9th. But we have a chance to really get a really good pick in this year's draft. Now, obviously, I've said in previous episodes that I firmly believe that Denny Avdija, with him being in expiring contract, I'm going to try. And it's not to say because we really don't know what his value or what his value is in the eyes of other general managers. But if you look at a lot of the moves made, at this trade deadline, is it impossible? Not. Could we get a first rounder? We'll see. Like I said, we don't know what his value is in the eyes of other general managers. But if I was Tommy Shepard, I would definitely try to market Denny out, try to package Denny Avdija and a couple of second round picks and try to get a first rounder because this is a loaded draft, man. I can't say it enough. This draft is loaded, man. So, while Ted is famous for saying we will never tank, we can kind of say unofficially we're tanking. Look at the list of guys they set, whether it's due to injuries, if you look at Kyle Kuzma, or illnesses, So, Bradley Beal's out, Kyle Kuzma was out, KP was out, Denny was out, DeLon was out, Monty. I mean, they're tanking. I mean, and look, they should. I get it. Right now in Wizards Nation, there's a big divide. You got guys who believe in the solid three of Beal, Porzingis, and Kuzma, and feel like we're just maybe a move or two away from this team being a legitimate contender or playoff team in the Eastern Conference. And then you have the people in this fan base who believe that we should rebuild. So it's definitely tanking right now. This team knows that they need to at least find the point guard of the future in this draft because between Scoot Henderson and I don't know we're going to be in position to get Scoot. I hope we are because I think Scoop could really slide into this team, whether it's with the solid three or even a rebuilding team, and be the solid point guard of the future. But outside of Scoot Henderson, obviously, you got Nick Smith Jr., you've got Kevin Wallace out of Kentucky. So we have a chance to get the point guard of the future. Regardless if we're trying to run it back or we're trying to rebuild, this draft gives us the opportunity to go get the point guard of the future, which is something we have not had. You can say 1 year Russell Westbrook, but we haven't had a solid franchise point guard since John Wall. So this is our year. This is our chance to get one. So, like I said, obviously, with us having to pick, we are in tank mode. Unofficially, officially, tomato, whatever. But we are definitely tanking. So we're going to go ahead and slide into comments. There's a lot of comments, man, looking on here. A lot of comments. I'm going to keep it short and simple tonight. Like I said, this is all about the young guys and them maturing and developing. So I don't foresee us talking about a win, maybe the Houston Rockets game, but it's tank mode. So let's get into it, y'all. And again, appreciate everybody, man. It's been a long road this year. We got, I believe, 3 games left. I got to double check, but it's been real and it's been fun with y'all, man. So we're getting to the stretch run before we get into the off season. So let's slide right into comments. Joshua Cotton, what's going on, man? Johnny out there hooping. Yeah, Johnny's been playing good, man. Lately, he's been playing really, really good. So I like what I see from Johnny Davis, man. You're starting to see the potential. You're starting to see the dog. You're starting to see why they drafted this kid out of Wisconsin. Defensively, look at the stat line tonight. 2 steals, 2 blocks. This kid is a dog on the defensive end. Easy. He is an excellent defender, in my opinion. And he's going to be a really, really good defender. And you're starting to see his offensive game really starting to fruitate. So, man, I'm with you. Let's see. Red Wings 0-1. I don't know if Goodwin is ready to fill DeLon's shoes just yet. At the very least, we could use him for the beginning of next year. I think, depth is a good thing till it's not. With this organization, we've seen depth be a good thing. We've seen depth be a very bad thing. But I think with because if you look at next year, Monte Morris is on a expiring contract. DeLon Wright's expiring contract. And then we signed Jordan Goodwin. So I think that as far as depth, unless Monte or DeLon or one of the two are traded in the offseason, he's definitely going to be there for point guard depth. So it's going to be intriguing to see how we go forward with Monte and DeLon Wright both being on aspiring contracts. But I'm with you, man, because I really, really became a big fan of Jordan Goodwin. All right, Israeli fandom, what's going on, man? Thank you for blessing us with your presence, man. How you doing tonight? Israeli fandom said Davis was a bust, a historically bad start for a rookie. How do you think he's going to get minutes behind Beal and Corey next year? He won't. Well, first of all, I think it goes off of what happens in the offseason. If Bill's not here, then Johnny Davis is your 2 guard. And Corey Kispert, he can slide a 2 to 3. And I believe that Johnny Davis and Corey Kispert are pieces of the future for this franchise. Either way, either if we run it back or if we rebuild, Corey Kispert and Johnny Davis are key pieces of this future for this franchise. Do I think he's going to get minutes? Well, like I said, it depends on what his team does. If they run it back with Bradley Beal being a franchise player, if Kyle Kuzma's here, KP's here, then yeah, it's going to be hard to find him minutes, and obviously he's not going to start. But if it goes into a rebuild, you're going to see him get a good amount of minutes because, like I said, as far as young guys, if they decide to rebuild, easy. Corey Kispert and Johnny Davis are two vital pieces of this franchise going forward. So they're going to get significant minutes. So yeah, to answer your question, man, I mean, it really goes off of where this team's at, what they decide to do ultimately. Sheldon T says someone's a Johnny hater on here, man. I don't know how you can be a Johnny hater right now, man. The kid is playing some good basketball. Let's see. Denny Doncic. Well, that's a heck of a name. Wizards should have drafted Jalen Williams instead of Davis. That way, the starting lineup would have been Monte, Bill, Jalen Williams, Kuz, and KP. Is Davis a shooting guard or a small forward? I agree and I disagree. I mean, you can definitely look at it and say Jalen Williams came in more ready to play. He came in and he's playing at a high level. You can't take away what Jalen Williams is doing, and you can't take away OKC and their ability to draft and develop. If you look at their roster, man, they're going to be good in the next 3 years. You're going to see OKC take their step into trying to add a veteran piece here and there to try to compete in the Western Conference because, I mean, they got a nice young squad, man. Do I see him as a shooting guard or a small forward? I for one don't think he's a point guard, but I also don't think he's a small forward. I think that maybe a small forward, but I see him a two guard just because of his defense and his size and his offensive capabilities. I think he's a two guard, but yeah, I mean, you can argue we should have drafted, but you can look at most drafts and say that, I mean, and I get it. We're talking about the Wizards here. We've missed a lot more than we ever hit, but you can look at most teams and say that, most teams are going to miss, and we definitely miss, Jalen Williams, but I think there's still hope for Johnny Davis. I think, especially if you look at his performances now, there's definitely still hope for Johnny Davis. So before we get into more comments, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Oh, because new customers get a no sweat first bet. My bet, y'all. Up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet does not win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything for the money line, 3-point scores, and threes drain. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. I know me and E, we are big fans of parlays. I love them. So don't miss a chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. So let's get right back in the comments. Again, appreciate y'all tonight, man. There's a tad bit late. We're supposed to start at 10, but we started about 10:10. But definitely appreciate y'all tonight, man. So let's slide back into comments. A lot of good comments. And with us going into the off season, as far as the Wizards, we are going to try to do a mailbag episode per week, and we're going to do a lot of content, especially surrounding the draft and free agency. So definitely tune in because we have a lot that we're going to cover going into the off season. So I'm going to try to do 3 to 5 more comments. I know I say that all the time, but let's try to get into it in a lot, man. Passionate bunch, man. Red Wings 01 says Wemby is as skinny as he's come. It's funny because they showed a video that says how he was swole. I don't know who would ever associate Wembanyama with being swole, but I mean, physically, man, the kid's a freak, man. I'm just trying to tell you, this kid is going to be good. The Zion, would you take Zion if the Pelicans want Bill? Well, I mean, you can't argue the upside with Zion Williamson. I get it, man. You can't put the chips and Mountain Dew down but his athleticism is through the roof. It's just, it's you got to ask yourself as an organization, are you willing to take a risk? I mean, we took a risk on Kristaps Porzingis because his injury passed, and it's ended up being a win for us because he's had a healthy year. He's had an all-star season, in my opinion, and it's been a very highly productive season for him. So could we do a 1-for-1 for Zion for Bill? Well, I mean, salaries shouldn't be an issue. It just really the risk and fit. If you bring Zion in, then you're not re-signing Kuz because, I mean, it's a lot of maybes. I guess really it comes down to, does this organization think that the injury risk, is less than the potential? Because Zion Williamson can jump out of the gym. We all know that, man. Zion can play some basketball. It's just, his athleticism and his weight just don't mix, and it continues to be an issue for him. So, I mean, to really answer your question this time, man. Um, man, that's tough. Would I take the risk? That's a good question. That's a really good question, man. We're gonna do a couple more. It's like Red Wing said, he's a legit superstar. Yeah, but I mean, it's just the injuries, man. His weight and his athleticism do not mix, man. Let's see. A lot of good comments tonight, man. Edian said, please let's not overhype Kendrick Nunn. He still needs to leave the team. Well, he played well tonight. Like I said, 24 points. He played well. I'm not gonna take away from his performance, but again, he's very inconsistent, and he's playing for his next contract, and I don't think the contract is gonna be in the 202. Let's see. We're gonna do a couple more. There's a lot, and like I said, we are definitely going to do some mailbags. So definitely give us your best questions, especially when it comes to the draft and free agency. So we're gonna do a couple of more comments. Oh Lord. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up a comment real quick. Your racism is clouding your judgment. Why hate? Typical American. Okay. So let me say this real quick, man. Number one, let's not say typical American, man, because that's not true. We have our issues in this country, man, but no, it's not true, man. Look, I'm gonna say this, man. This narrative that racism is involved with Jenny Avdija, or even to a lesser degree Wes Unseld, is baffling. And look, stop it. Stop it. Look, we are all Wizards fans here. We all come from different backgrounds. Look, I am literally a walking United Nations, yo. Like, my father's from Nigeria, my mom's from Germany, and I got Scotch Irish in me. So, dude, I am a walking United Nations. So there's a lot, just you got to stop with the narratives, man. And let's not get into typical this and that, man. No. Every country, every group in this world has its good and bad, man. So, Israeli fandom, man, let me say this, bro. I think a lot of us do appreciate the passion and the love and the fandom that you have for Denny Avdija, man. But look, you're not doing Denny any favors by refusing to let people criticize him, man. And you act like you two like go way back like a battery pack, man. Like, come on, man. You don't know you and you don't know him, man. Just relax, stop with the racism narratives, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. So it was a couple more comments, man, and I see a lot of it that had to do with that comment, man. Look, y'all just let the stupidity go, man. Just anything that has to do with stupidity, like racism, just let it go, man. Please. Let's get to a couple more. And a lot of you guys, I mean, a lot of us have the same outlook on what's going on. Oren Mind Zagorski says, we need a new coach and a new GM. Yeah, like I said, it's tricky, man, because this organization they haven't been very transparent in what they're trying to do. If I were to bet on it, Wes Unseld and Tommy Shepard are both back next year. I don't see them. And even if they decide to move on from one of them, they're not going to move on from both. And really, if you look at it, if you're going to try to get a new coach, you're going to replace the GM first, because usually the GM is the one who hires the coach. You're not going to get a new coach and then turn around and get a new GM. So, I mean, with that, you would see Tommy go first. Now, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of chances where the coach goes, but like I said, we just don't know what they plan on doing. So let's see. Yep, Shug Biz, man. Tank. Absolutely. Matt says, I see us getting the 8th pick. I hope you are wrong, man. We need to stop getting these late picks. Man, I would look. I'll do another bet with y'all, man. I know that I said that if we make the playoffs, I was going to dye my head blind. Well, obviously, that ain't going to happen. So I'll make it interesting for y'all, man. If we make it to the top 5 and below, I will dye my head blind. If we get a top 5 pick, y'all will see me at the draft with blonde hair and a Kyle Kuzma jersey on. And that is my guarantee if we get a top 5 pick. So, but hopefully we don't end up. Red Wing said, I think we'll end up with a 7th. I hope not, man. I hope not. So let's see. Let's go do one more pick. A lot of good comments, man. A lot of good comments. Oh, man. Oh, whew. Appreciate the love, man. It said Brandon. Brandon gonna go off. Nah, man, it's just I look, man, we gotta be able to criticize on here, y'all. We gotta be able to criticize without having to resort to, criticism being because of racism or it's just we gotta be able to criticize each other, man, because criticism is healthy, whether you agree with that or not. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it there, man. Again, I appreciate y'all. Again, the Wizards lost 140 to 128. Is the Wiz kids, lot of optimism with this young group, and we are looking towards the future with the draft coming up and the off season coming up. So again, y'all, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody watching the game and showing up for the video. I appreciate all the love you guys did. And obviously, I will give you guys a shout out at the end. Me and E will, but I'll say this: appreciate y'all, man. It's been a long year, but we could not do what we do without you guys. So thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. Now make your second listen game to game NBA, every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. And shout out to Wiz Nation. We hit 3,000 subscribers, so definitely appreciate y'all, man. You guys had a lot to do with that, so definitely appreciate that. Definitely check out me and E on Twitter and Instagram. We chop it up on game days and off days alike. So especially with going into the off season, we are going to be chatting up a lot of draft, a lot of trade proposals. So definitely tune in for that. And definitely like, subscribe, comment below, and hit the notification button on YouTube so you're notified when dope videos like this one come out. And wherever you get your podcast, definitely a 5-star review will be much appreciated. So again, I appreciate everybody tonight, man. And we're getting there. Season's almost over, but the future of this franchise is at hand, and it's going to be a very interesting off season. So, hey, I hope everybody has a blessed night, and I appreciate y'all. And peace. Hell to the Wizards.